Did Jeffrey Epstein take his own life, or was he taken out?
Senator, in my view, he hanged himself inside his cell at the Metropolitan Detention Center. You planning to make all the details public? Senator, we're actively processing that alongside the Department of Justice right now. Any rough timeline, Kash?
I expect it'll happen in the near term, sir. Before I pass away, hopefully.
Senator, we've been grinding through it carefully, balancing victim protection while avoiding the release of material that's not relevant for public disclosure. Things like certain sensitive investigative details.
Just 3 minutes ago, Senator John Kennedy pulled off a move that's destined to loop endlessly on cable news tonight. No convoluted legalese, no sidestepping. He stared straight at FBI Director Kash Patel and dropped the question America's been whispering for years, but Washington's too scared to touch. Did somebody tell you to shove the Epstein files back into the shadows? Hang on through the end of this video, because that fleeting flicker on Patel's face right before his attorney leans over with a whisper, that split second says more than any full sentence ever could. New to the channel? Smash subscribe and turn on notifications now. This is only the opening chapter of something way bigger brewing. Set the stage. Senate Judiciary Committee hearing room, afternoon slot. The usual DC snooze fest, budget breakdowns, staffing updates, questions so procedural they barely register outside the Beltway bubble. Senator John Kennedy from Louisiana sits toward the end of the dais. If you're not tuned into Kennedy yet, quick rundown. Yale Law, Oxford creds, but he talks with that thick Louisiana drawl like he just stepped off a bayou porch. Don't buy the folksy act for a second. The guy's razor sharp and lethal when he decides to strike. He sat through nearly 90 minutes of droning back and forth. Patel cruised through questions from the others. Cyber risks, China spying ops, Russian influence plays. Standard polished replies, professional, measured, vague enough to sound substantive without actually committing. He glanced at his watch a couple times, looked at ease. Big error. Kennedy's moment hit at 3:47 p.m. Eastern. I double-checked the timestamp after seeing what unfolded. Director Patel, he drawled, slow and deliberate, like honey over gravel. Let's discuss Jeffrey Epstein. The energy in the room flipped. You could practically hear the collective intake of breath. Patel stayed stone-faced. He'd fielded Epstein queries before, had his script locked. Senator, as noted in prior appearances, the Bureau ran a comprehensive review of Mr. Epstein's conduct. I'm not here for reruns of old testimony, Kennedy cut in, tone unchanged but edge now. I'm here for what you're holding back. Patel blinked, once, twice. Kennedy set a blue folder on the table, maybe 40 pages thick. Didn't open it, just rested his palm on top like sealing an oath. Director, roughly how many Epstein-related documents does the FBI currently possess? That's tough to pin down exactly, Senator. The probe produced a large volume. I didn't ask for a term paper. Give me a ballpark number. Patel flicked his eyes toward his attorneys, two dark suits looking anywhere but forward. Without pulling up our internal system, I can't give a precise figure. You're the FBI director. You're saying you have no sense of how many Epstein files are sitting in your vault? Without proper framing. Kennedy leaned in. Let me frame it for you. My office submitted a FOIA request 6 months back. The response? The Bureau is withholding around 2,300 documents tied to the Epstein case. Ring any bells? 5 seconds. 10. Patel finally dipped his head. That ballpark aligns, Senator. Of those 2,300, how many made it to the public? A select portion, after proper redactions to safeguard. Not the process, the count. Patel's jaw clenched. Roughly 90 redacted. 90 out of 2,300. That's about 4%, Director. 4%. What's locked away in the other 96% that everyday Americans can't handle seeing? Those files include sensitive elements tied to active matters, national security risks, and privacy protections for uncharged individuals. Hold up! Kennedy raised a hand. Not sharp, just calm traffic cop style. Epstein's gone. Ghislaine Maxwell's behind bars. The core case is shut. So what active matters are you shielding? Patel shifted. First real movement in half an hour. Certain peripheral issues remain under examination. Peripheral issues? Kennedy gave a thin smile. Not warm, more like a predator sizing up lunch. A director. I'm just a small-town Louisiana lawyer. LSU grad. Practiced down home for years before this political circus.
Help me connect the dots.
Main probe closed, key players dead or locked up. What exactly are these side issues? And who are they really guarding?
Senator, I can't delve into specifics of live operations in public session. Kennedy nodded, like he'd anticipated the dodge.
Fair. Let's pivot. Since you took the director's chair, how many Epstein-linked documents got bumped from releasable to restricted? I'm unaware of any broad reclassification effort. Unaware. Kennedy drew a sheet from his folder.
This is an internal bureau memo, February 8th of this year, 2 months into your tenure. Marked official use only, but we got it through legitimate means.
He lifted it.
Want me to quote it? Patel's lawyers huddled quick, one murmured.
Patel gave a subtle headshake. Senator, absent seeing the exact item you're citing, Kennedy was already reading.
Following director-level assessment, certain materials previously cleared for potential FOIA disclosure have been redesignated law enforcement sensitive and pulled from release processing.
He met Patel's eyes.
This lists 47 documents.
47 that were on track for public eyes, until you arrived.
Now they're buried again. Why?
Those calls stemmed from refreshed risk evaluations.
Those files had cleared multiple reviews already. Career agents, DOJ lawyers, classification experts.
All greenlit. Then you step in, and suddenly they're too hot.
What flipped?
The harm assessment approach was refined. Kennedy's volume dropped, more intense that way.
Direct question, direct answer, please.
Did anybody outside the Bureau urge you to reclassify those 47? Any White House outreach on Epstein materials? A routine cross-agency dialogue happens on various topics.
Did Donald Trump's legal team reach out about these files?
I don't recall any particular. Didn't answer. Yes or no? Did anyone tied to Donald Trump push you to limit access to Epstein docs? Patel's face cycled fast. Bewilderment, irritation, recalibration. Then the mask snapped back. Classification choices rest solely on my evaluation of security and enforcement needs. No outside influence from any person or group.
Not my question. The room went pin drop quiet.
Reporters frozen, staffers wide-eyed. This wasn't standard grilling anymore.
Let me rephrase gently.
Kennedy said, almost kindly, like coaching a kid through homework. In your 6 months as director, any contact, direct or otherwise, with anyone linked to Donald Trump about managing, classifying, or releasing Epstein-related records. I interact with many folks in my role. Still dodging yes or no, Director. Simple, yes or no. Have you discussed Epstein files with anyone connected to Trump? Patel glanced at his team again. They looked ready to vanish. Senator, I'd need to check my call logs for a full... You need logs to recall if you talked Epstein with Trump's circle? Kennedy's brows arched. I can rattle off every Epstein conversation I've had in the past year.
Weren't many. Not exactly coffee break chatter.
You're claiming you can't remember?
In standard interagency, Kennedy rose, actually stood. I'd never seen him do that in a hearing.
Director Patel, I've stayed courteous. I've waited. But Americans deserve straight talk.
He lifted another page.
Here's a phone record. February 23rd, 10:47 p.m.
Call from your personal cell to a New York firm, Kasowitz Benson Torres. Know who they represent? Patel's color drained.
I speak with various counsel.
That firm reps Donald Trump. You talked for 17 minutes, 3 weeks into your directorship.
2 days before those 47 documents got locked down.
He placed it flat.
One last time. Did anyone tied to Donald Trump ask you to suppress the Epstein files? Silence stretched, felt eternal, though maybe 15 seconds.
Watching a carefully built wall crumble live.
Senator, that discussion concerned an unrelated issue. Stopping you there.
Kennedy eased back down, unhurried.
Down in Louisiana we say, if it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it ain't a chicken. You reclassified docs poised to expose big names, right after chatting Trump's lawyers. Now you call it coincidence? Do I look gullible?
Patel pushed once more.
Senator, I take strong exception to any suggestion I'd compromise my role or the Bureau's to shield anyone. My integrity.
No suggestion.
Just facts. Call to Trump's firm. Ducks buried.
Draw your own picture, America. He stacked his papers. One closing question, Director. Think hard. You're sworn.
Do Epstein files contain material directly tying Donald Trump to criminal acts?
Senator, I can't discuss classified contents openly.
Not asking contents. Existence? Yes or no? Docs implicating Trump. Patel's palms pressed hard on the table. The Epstein matter touched many people. Not many. 1, Donald Trump.
Yes or no? The Bureau doesn't assess implication or guilt from documents alone. Not an answer. Yes or no? Do they exist?
Senator Kennedy, I must respectfully decline to respond here.
Kennedy gave a slow nod, like he'd won the round he needed. He turned to the cameras, not Patel.
Folks at home, the FBI director just declined to say no. Declined to deny evidence links Donald Trump to Epstein's crimes.
He could have shut it down flat. He didn't.
The hearing dragged on. Other senators pivoted to counterterrorism, budgets.
Nobody cared.
The clip was already wildfire. Kennedy cornering Patel, the unanswered question, the suspicious call, the hidden docs. Within the hour, networks looped it. Washington Post analysis pieces dropped.
Experts debated if this crossed into obstruction territory. Somewhere at Bureau HQ, phones were blowing up. Kennedy didn't just probe, he built a chain. Call to Trump's lawyers, reclassification rush, refusal to rule out damning Trump evidence.
3 hard facts, painting a picture of influence over transparency, power shielding power. An FBI head possibly picking one loyalty over the laws. 3 minutes. That's all it took for John Kennedy to crack Kash Patel's armor. 3 minutes to link Trump's legal team to buried files.
3 minutes to force the question nobody else dared. Did someone direct you to protect Donald Trump? Patel never said yes.
But his evasion, his freeze, his unease, they screamed it. The Epstein files stay sealed. The records stay hidden. The full story stays buried. But now we know the why, and the who behind keeping it that way. If you've stuck with me this long, you get how massive this is.
Subscribe now. Hit the bell. Share this far and wide.
This fight's ongoing. Kennedy's vowed more sessions, more pressure, more releases. I'll be tracking every twist right here. The cover-up's cracking. And the truth won't stay quiet forever.